Hey everyone, it's Coach Stacie here with Coach Allie, and we are continuing to talk about how to create powerful fuel. So this one is Allie's favorite. So Allie, I'm going to let you lead off talking about and emotions, but maybe you want to just do a quick little recap of the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Seriously, this month, more than any of the others, I feel like you really need to start at the beginning of the month, listen and understand um, in order to get to this point. So the first
Hold on, I'm
session.
going to interrupt. We're literally teaching you a progression, like a mindset progression. We call a mindset progression. So they're just literally like a progression you would use in the gym. You can't start on step 3. You got to start on step 1. So, okay, keep going.
Yes. So step one was all about just like emotions, allowing them to be there, good, bad, whatever. It is okay for you to experience all emotions and see what they feel like. Okay. Step two is actually processing the emotion. So, not just allowing them to be there, breathing through them, allowing them to process through your body so that you experience the emotion without all the other crap that comes with it. So, now, in order to get to some of these positive emotions, you really, really need to be able to learn how to work through that because most of the time you're not able to get to the positive without dealing with the negative. And if you do, it's just because you're pushing the negative down and down and down and down until you can't anymore and it comes up somehow, some way. Okay. So whether that turns into somebody getting a, in quotes, mental block, or that comes up in school somewhere or just anywhere else, it comes up somehow. Okay. But you can experience two emotions at the same time. Okay. And we do this all the time, because I always ask gymnasts when they're trying to like learn a new skill that they're afraid of or nervous about or whatever. I'm like, well, why don't you just quit and not do it? Right. You like totally don't have to. And they're like, well, but I want to. And I'm like, why? Like, do you like want to learn that skill? And they're like, yeah, I'm really excited. And I'm like, oh, okay. So you're not just afraid, you are excited about learning this skill. So you always have both, because if both weren't there, likely they would just not do gymnastics, right? There's that excitement, that happiness, that fun, all the things that do come with it as well. So we just really hyper focus a lot of times on the negative. And so if you're going up to the beam to try something and you're feeling excited because you think it'll be fun to like figure it out, and you're also feeling nervous because you're not sure if you can do it, your brain is wired to go to that negative to try and keep you safe. Okay. So your brain is going to think about this negative, and then it kind of just thinks about that part of it for 95% of the time, and then forgets about this 5% that we're actually very excited about it. So we go into and emotions of being like, okay, we are nervous and we're excited. And my goal is to teach them just whenever that feeling that they're feeling that negative emotion, that's fine. My goal isn't to get rid of it. My goal is for them to also think about that positive emotion. So I try and even get them just 50-50. I'm always like, if you spent the same amount of time thinking about being excited as you do thinking about being nervous, what would that be like? And they're even like, so much better. Like, yeah. And the likelihood of it going well is probably way higher than the 5% that you're even giving that.
Right.
Right. And so it's just really funny to watch that process happen. So this is one of those, I feel like one of those easier, quicker ways
Yeah.
sometimes to get them to this powerful, more exciting fuel. Because you just have to, you don't necessarily go through the entire processing of that negative emotion. You just redirect your brain to the positive emotion that you're also experiencing at the same time. And that doesn't mean you're necessarily ignoring it or doing anything wrong. It's just like, oh, yeah, I forgot there's all these positive things too that I just forget to think about that I already believe. Like,
Yeah.
Stacie, if you want to kind of,
Well, I think part of it is it's important to do the first one that you're allowing the negative. It's this is an art, not a science. When you resist the emotion, you're actually still focused on the emotion subconsciously. So we don't want to resist it. We got to allow it to be there. It's not a problem. We can feel it. And then we can focus on a different emotion. So I like to tell them your brain is like a flashlight. Now, the flashlight is focused on one thing, even though all the rest of the things are still there. It's just not, you're not seeing those things as well because the flashlight zooms in on one thing. Your brain actually is similar. Your brain usually is zoomed on one main thought. So we're not trying to get rid of the other emotions, they're still all there. It's just that our flashlight is focused now on a new one that's going to actually power us. So if we were feeling fear, we're going to feel fear and determined. We're going to feel fear and focused. We're going to feel fear and curious. So we're going to find a feeling that's going to help us do the thing we want to do. And we're just going to refocus our brain on that one while still allowing the other one to just be there. So I want to tell a quick little story, but yeah. So before I do that, the reason that you're doing this is, again, that we take action out of our emotions. And what we want to do is we want to allow that negative emotion to be there, but we want to take action from the emotion that's going to help us. And here's one little thing. Your kids, and if you do this with your kids, you're going to be like, okay, now what emotion do you want to feel in order to do the thing? So we usually try to get them to decide what's the one thing they need to do next on their next turn to help them do that skill. And then we're like, okay, now what emotion is going to power that? And they always say confident. Confident is usually an emotion that we have at the end. I'll just go through this. Allie, when do you feel confident?
I feel confident. Like specific examples or like
what's the thought that goes through your head that produces the feeling of confident for you?
Oh, I've got this.
I've got this. Why do you have it?
Because I've done it a million times.
Successfully, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So usually to generate the feeling of confidence, we need evidence that we've safely and successfully done something lots of times. So trying to use confidence to learn something new almost never works. They have to have evidence of it. And so we shy away from confident, but we like to move to things like determined, focused, curious, optimistic. We love to tell them brave, because brave actually means I feel afraid and I'm determined to keep going anyways. So any of those kinds of emotions can help. I'm going to tell my story, but anything else on that before I do?
I was just going to say, this is where the emotions list from earlier in our podcast comes into play. I talked about how you can't always be excited and like joyful in those super high like ones, because it's just hard to get there when you're feeling fearful. And emotion that's more realistic are some of these intermediate emotions that we forget about. So always go back to that emotions list.
Yeah. And we're going to put a link in here that if you give us a review on Amazon, or not on Amazon, if you give us a review on the podcast, we're not selling anything on Amazon. If you give us a review, we're going to put a link where you can write in your review, and then we will send you our posters, a digital. We're not going to send you the posters, a digital like file where you can print the posters or the worksheets. So then you can have the feelings worksheet that we use all the time. So, okay, I want you to all imagine a zebra. So zebra is out on the African plains, and all of a sudden, zebra sees lion. Now, when zebra sees lion, zebra feels what? Allie?
Fear.
Fear, right? Did the lion cause the zebra to feel the fear?
Do you want me to give you everybody's answer or the real answer?
Your answer. Real answer.
No.
Yeah. The lion didn't cause the zebra to feel fear, because if the lion was in control of the situation, lion wants zebra to just lay on down. right? Doesn't want zebra to get afraid. And what does zebra do when zebra's afraid?
Run.
Run. So the purpose of the feeling of fear in the animal kingdom is one thing and one thing only, and that is to run away from a danger as fast as possible. So when your brain sees a danger, it is preparing you to run away by making your heart beat faster, breathing and getting more oxygen so it can push it all down to your legs so that your legs can run as fast as possible. When you are feeling fear, when zebra feels fear, all other body processes stop. Any access to digestion, to cellular repair, to immunity, any other body process stops. The same is true in humans. And higher level thinking stops. Your brain has no access to any higher level thinking when you are in fear. So you get stupider. So what I like to do is tell this gymnast this story and then ask this question. So, is fear useful for you in any situation in the gym? What is fear useful for? Making you run as fast as possible from a danger. So, is fear useful anytime in the gym? Can you think of any time that fear might be useful in the gym?
No.
No. Sometimes they come up with, well, it helps me know if I'm like trying to do something that's too dangerous. So I remind them, fear actually makes you stupider. You have no access to higher level thinking when you're in fear. So fear does not help you know. Wisdom helps you know. There's lots of other emotions that could help you think through, is this skill a good idea for me to do? But fear will not power that. All that fear can power you to do is run away as fast as possible. So here's where I'm going to bring it back to and emotions. So here's what I love to teach them. I just want you to start considering the fact that fear is not useful. And I stop there. And then the next time around, I teach them to start saying to their brain, I'm feeling afraid and that's okay. But I don't need to run away from anything. So fear is not useful. A more useful emotion is, and then pick their and emotion. So this is the sentence that I teach all of the gymnasts that I coach every single time. I'm feeling, I make them write it down, memorize it. I'm feeling whatever, because this works. Frustration is not useful. Anger is not useful. Embarrassed is not useful. It doesn't mean you shouldn't feel any of those. It's normal to feel them. So that's why I'm feeling blank, and that's okay. I actually like to say, and I like to use, and that's understandable. I'm feeling blank, and that's understandable, but it's not useful. A more useful feeling would be, and then you pick your and emotion. So that's the sentence that I use a lot to help them do that once they understand that. It is pretty amazing. I think that our brain's first thing is to keep us safe, but the second thing is to use as little energy as possible, like to be efficient. And so our brain really doesn't like the idea that it's not useful. It's really interesting how quickly I've seen my own brain in thinking about that fear is not useful, totally chill out on fear. I'm like, oh, well, that's not helpful right now. So,
And I think this will help with your gymnasts that are like, tell me that I have to do 20 rope climbs if I don't go. Or just yell at me and then I'll go. Like, we've all had those gymnasts. I get the rope climb one all the time. They're like, can you just make me do a rope climb if I don't go? And I'm like, is this really going to be useful for you in the long run? Like, are we going to be
right.
at a meet and I'm going to make you do rope climbs if you don't go? Like, how are we going to get there? And so I think just using statements like that, like even that type of fear is not useful.
Well, because they're actually not going from fear. Fear makes them shut down. They're going
Mhm.
from motivated. I'm
Mhm.
motivated to have you not be mad at me. I'm
Mhm.
motivated to not have to climb the rope. I'm motivated, and they're actually going from motivated, not from being afraid. So
Correct.
even like helping them, you don't have to explain that to them, but the reason it doesn't work for the long haul is because what's causing the motivation is the thing they're afraid of. And if the thing they're afraid of isn't there, they won't be motivated anymore.
Yes.
Right. So, okay. Next week, we are going to put this all together for the best part about how to really every single day create the fuel that you need. So we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.